Hello, welcome to episode 129 of Dissonant Waves. My name is Squidward. I've got Patrick and SpongeBob here with me.
Yeah.
Wait, which one's Patrick? Which one's SpongeBob?
That's a good question, Mr. Krabs.
Well,
I
my name is Patrick, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a little too offensive if we call you the Patrick?
Well, I mean,
I fully live up to it.
right before we pressed the button, Trix was doing the I'm ready. So I was going to say you were SpongeBob.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, actually. I guess that's fair, yeah.
But we're here.
She also did the laugh.
Yes, she did the laugh too.
Yeah, she did laugh. She beat me. I'm Patrick.
But we are here again, and we have plenty to talk about. We got 5 albums this time and a couple singles.
Yes.
Ritz decided to choose Private Functions Hello Asshole or 370HSSV0773H, depending on how you look at it.
We're just gonna be saying hello asshole for the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Yes. Trix decided to choose Phoneboy's new Moving Out album, as well as 10,000 gecs by 100 gecs, and, for fun, the Crusades of the Elden Stav single by Netherwalker, which features the voice of Chowder.
Nicky Jones.
Nicky Jones. Meanwhile, I've returned to the Muse versus Radiohead debate with the Bends versus Origin of Symmetry with the addition of Talk Show Host as a Radiohead single, when it's really a B-side to Street Spirit Fade Out. What do we want to talk about first, everybody? In this here Bikini Bottom.
You know what? Let's get the more obvious ones out of the way. The 2 albums that were released the longest to go, and then we can go on to all the 2023 stuff. So I reckon we'll go do your Muse v Radiohead fight part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I guess we should begin with the Bends, because that's the older one. But yeah, Radiohead's The Bends, their second album, released about 2 years after Pablo Honey.
This is better than Pablo Honey.
Yes.
That's about my comments on the album too.
That's essentially all I have to say about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's say it's
I have a bigger fear though, is that you're continuing on this trend, and that means you're eventually going to be doing OK Computer versus Absolution, aren't you?
No. I'm explicitly not doing that.
Thank fuck, because I started to realize after I did this that, wait, I like early Muse a lot better than earlier Radiohead, and then I like later Radiohead a lot more than later Muse.
You see, the inside baseball to this is that I want to do Kid A and Amnesiac together. And it makes the most sense to have that coupled with Muse's best 2 albums, which is Absolution and Black Holes and Revelations. So, with OK Computer, I'm going to be doing their Lee Zenith B-side / live album.
Hullabaloo?
Yes, Hullabaloo soundtrack.
Yeah, Hullabaloo. Yes. That's a little bit of a relief, because I don't want the fucking internet above going to fight me when I claim that Absolution is better than OK Computer.
I mean, we said it now. We'll see how far it gets.
It's probably your only doubt, but people aren't clicking this for my views on OK Computer.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The sad part about that is that I like OK Computer.
Oh yeah,
So
OK
it's not
Computer's great.
Yeah. And then when I'm comparing these 2 albums with the Bends and Origin of Symmetry, and I know we're talking about the Bends here first, but I'm just going to do the comparison shit here first. Yeah. There is one band that is a bit more hit off the ground running, or whatever you want to fucking call this, with their career. And then one band that basically paved the way for that. And that's what this is. I mean, I think Origin of Symmetry is just a much more interesting album than the Bends. But Radiohead still had to do what Radiohead did before Muse could actually do what they do. So it's kind of like when I'm comparing these 2, it's like, well, yeah, one's more refined, but that's just because of the fucking state of the music industry and production around that time.
Now, I can see with the Bends where people would call Muse a Radiohead ripoff, because there are elements of Muse that does sound like it comes from the Bends. But the Bend is also
agree.
And the Bend is also like the quintessential late 90s, mid 90s, like alternative rock album.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to know what the 90s sounded like in that genre, this is pretty much it.
It's a good way to put it.
And
I want to say though, so the weirdest part about the bends is most people will know Fake Plastic Trees, and they'll probably expect the bends to sound a lot like Fake Plastic Trees. But Fake Plastic Trees more sounds like an OK Computer song than it does a bend song.
yes, and I wanted to include talk show host here because A, it sounds different, and B, it has the bigger connection to OK Computer because both this and Exit Music for a Film were in Romeo plus Juliet.
Yeah.
And so talk show host is the weird B-side that arguably has more claim to fame than I think half of the bends, just from being in a very popular movie.
I mean, there's always been cases of B-sides and being more popular because they're in a movie or being made for that. I'm pretty sure that's could be wrong. Yeah, I lost my train of thought on one of the examples. You're gonna have to
That's fair.
excuse me on that. But I mean, the last Zach Braff film and the last one that anyone can probably remember, even if it's not for good reasons, had a pretty popular Bon Iver song that was made specifically for it.
Mm-hmm.
Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always been cases where it's just weirdly enough there's a song that doesn't exist on an album or on a single, and kind of the era of the singles of the album or whatever, the time period. Me bad with words today. And then just some random song or deep cut that they've made has been more popular.
Yeah.
Ask Pavement fans why Ask Pavement fans why Harness Your Hopes is their most popular song. They have no fucking clue.
I mean, X Gonna Give It to You is one of DMX's most popular songs. And that's also from a movie soundtrack.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But Fake Plastic Trees, I also have trouble speaking, was in Clueless, which was also a pretty popular movie. So that's also where a lot of people heard that song for the first time.
The Clueless bump.
Yes.
The one thing that I always will always confuse me about the bends, and this goes into how I compare everything to its popularity in Australia, blah blah blah, is the Hottest 100.
Okay.
In which, with Pablo Honey, Radiohead only ever managed to get one song into the Hottest 100, but yet it was their highest placing song because it was Creep, and that came in number 2. That was in the first calendar year one. And then in the first ever albums poll that ever happened for Triple J, it was it would have been 97 because OK Computer won it. And they got, I think they got 3 songs in that year. I think it was No Surprises, Karma Police, and Paranoid Android. I think they might have gotten one the year after, but I could be wrong about that. And then from every album since, I think the only one that didn't make top 10 since in the albums poll was King of Limbs. I think they made like number 11 or number 12, and they still made a song in the Hottest 100 of Lotus Flowers, so that was even worse. Every single one of their albums has managed to get a song in the Hottest 100 and a top 10 albums, except for King of Limbs, since, including A Moon-Shaped Pool, the last album. Yet, the Bends didn't get a single fucking song in.
I mean, that's fair. I think the Benz is also the least popular album of theirs in North America as well. So it's kind of the odd one out.
Yeah.
But if you
I
ask,
think this is my father's favorite Radiohead album, believe it or not.
that makes a lot of sense. I've heard if people really like that 90s sound, that people will claim that this is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And that they got too weird afterward.
The difference between this and OK Computer is fucking night and day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just like the difference between Origin and...
I like this. I like this more than Pablo Honey by a mile, but it's also like Pablo Honey is just a very generic 90s album comparingly, and then this one's just, it's a bit more paving the way of what alternative can be, and you probably would not get OK Computer without them doing this first, but it's also like, it's, you know what Radiohead is capable of, and they don't really reach those heights on there. And the only song that I really come away saying is like, it's a pretty good song, is the one that sounds more like an OK Computer song anyway.
Which one?
Fake Plastic Trees.
Oh, right, yeah, you said that. Worth noting that High and Dry apparently is a Pablo Honey era song, was a demo back then, and is, at least on Spotify, the most popular song of the entire album.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
High and Dry is all right. I think it would have been better on Pablo Honey. It would have been one of the highlights, but it definitely sounds like it's from that era.
Actually, I'll also continue on with the fake plastic trees and the hottest 100 era. Because also to add on to all the weirdness, when they did the top 100 of all time poll in 2008, fake plastic trees made top 20.
Oh wow! Like it's
And
a decent.
I don't know. I don't know if that's simply a case of its popularity or so it's just Radiohead getting votes in. I reckon it's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, this is an album that's decent. I like it. I think there are some songs here that are fun and interesting and cool to like just throw on. But if I'm coming back to this realistically for any reason, it's because of Street Spirit. Like that one song is like the song for me.
I mean, it's one of those cases when I'm thinking about the songs and stuff like that. It wasn't a blender or anything like that. I just don't have much reason to go back to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say this in any insulting way. I still think this is a good album. I just think there's so much done better now that it's one of those albums that's doomed to not stand the test of time due to the artists themselves having made just better works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would think if Radiohead just disbanded after this, then the Bends would probably be considered one of those cult classics of, oh yeah, no, the sophomore wasn't actually so bad. Have you heard that other album from the Creep band, or a little bit a bunch of other stuff?
It would have been a Neutral Milk Hotel like situation.
Yes.
No, I disagree because the Creep was already a hit.
Maybe a more mainstream version of it then. Because it would have been like, oh, you've listened to Oasis. Have you heard this?
Maybe.
You like Alanis Morissette and Katie Lang. Well, how about this?
And then we go and then compare it to Muse, which Origin of Symmetry was like their breakout in North America.
Well, it's a weird situation, right? Because it came out in 2001, except for North America, where it came out in 2005. Because the label they were on, Maverick, as famously, or so they claim at least, they didn't like the falsettos. They wanted them to re-record it.
That sounds about right. But still, you talk to a lot of North American Muse fans, and they'll say Origin of Symmetry is their favorite.
Yeah, and that was something that hit for us after Absolution.
Was, I mean, personally, I think Absolution was at absolute peak. As you mentioned before, what is usually considered the fight for the best Muse album is either Black Holes and Revelations or Absolution.
Right.
But just oddly enough, there's just one country which its Origin of Symmetry.
And I think this album does have a good claim to that, though. I like coming back to it. I think there are some lulls, but it really comes together really nicely.
Oh yeah, I would say this is a very consistent album, and it doesn't matter what fucking band you are to put out an album that's better than your first one, just critically. Don't talk about commercially, just talk about critically. A lot of bands have failed to do that. That's why the sophomore slump is a popular term used to describe second albums. I think it's actually one of the Gallaghers, if we're going to talk about Oasis, who did the quote of, you have your whole lifetime to plan your first album, but only 1 or 2 years to do your second album.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they explore so much. Like Radiohead explores a lot in the 90s alternative sound, but Muse really goes in other places that Radiohead just didn't. Right? Like you have
that quote is referring to the first 2 albums where people were about to get mad.
Yes.
Yes.
Like on Origin of Symmetry, you have throws to like opera, you have throws to thrash, you have throws to Broadway, and the Bends covers a good decent amount of stuff, but it sounds a very specific way. Where Origin of Symmetry, I would argue, is a much broader sound.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
Before we start going fully onto Origin of Symmetry, do we want to do any favorites or least favorites from the Bends?
Street Spirit.
Yeah, Street Spirit's pretty good. Fake Fake Plastic Trees, and High and Dry are pretty good. I'm gonna be fully honest. I don't really like the opener, Planet Telic, so it wasn't really so grabbing to me.
See, my problem with Planet Telex is that it sounds like it's a King of Limbs song, like the title.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like Sulk specifically because of where Sulk is leading into Street Spirit. On its own, it's all right, but I like the placement of it a lot. My least favorite's probably somewhere around like the Bones, the Bulletproof I Wish I Was section. Like those songs more specifically than that section, but in the middle somewhere.
I'm just gonna say I preferred kind of the back half over the first half.
Worth noting that John Leckie produced both of these albums, The Bends and Origin of Symmetry. Nigel Godrich was just beginning his relationship with Radiohead for this. I believe he only did Black Star off of the Bends' main tracks.
So, Origin of Symmetry.
Yes.
Indeed.
Trix, what do you think?
I actually want to just fully go back onto the little Hottest 100 tangent because it's also applicable to Muse, and that's why it's controversial, Dominic, I'm going to say, to be doing the Muse and Radiohead comparisons, but you really are onto something, especially commercially here, because Muse actually did get 3 songs into the Hottest 100 this year with this album, but then they were also absent from the album's poll for the only time until after until the second law, basically. So all their albums, from Showbiz to Revelation, what's Revelation? Sorry, Resistance, except for Origin of Symmetry, made the albums poll. And Origin of Symmetry did a lot better than Showbiz in the actual polling, yet just didn't make the albums poll while Showbiz did. And it's just one of those other fucking oddities that has happened with the polling.
That is rather wild.
Yeah.
But Trix, since you are the newcomer to all of this, what did you think of Origin of Symmetry?
I really liked Origin of Symmetry. I think I'd rate it above the Bends.
I think there was some throws here that would actually entice you quite a bit, like Citizen Erased.
Yes.
Kind of like there's, because I think this is an album that really explains what space rock is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a good space rock album.
Like that genre to me has always felt very like made up and mysterious of like, okay, what is it really? And this is the album that explains it, I think, the best. Just, it sounds spacey. It sounds like you're exploring outer space. You're skyrocketing up there.
Yeah, running on a spaceship that runs off a groove or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that video of Plug-in Baby, but Matt Bellamy doesn't stop going up the scale?
No, that sounds great though.
Oh wait, I think this sounds familiar. I think I might have.
Maybe I have, but it's one of those things you kind of see.
It's a fucking shit post, and I love it. But yeah, I'm sure there's enough people here who will probably say, "Oh yeah, I remember Plug-in Baby because they learned it from Guitar Hero 5." I'm raising my own hand. But I don't consider this in contention for the better Muse albums. I think it's still got enough flaws and a bit of the early Muse hiccups on it to compare to what is their more peak performance. But there's some fucking bangers on this album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bliss has always been one of my favorites in this.
Bliss is one of my least favorites, but that's just me.
Bliss just has when you say the North American whatever fucking label it was, it didn't want the falsettos. Bliss is one of the fucking reasons why you need it.
I mean, I agree. I think Matt Bellamy does it really, really well. But I mean, I think the stuff in Plug-in Baby and Microcuts especially do it more for me than Bliss. I think the chorus is just weird for me.
Because it's a weird thing, the term of overseeing. It's usually used as an insult, and my god, I've definitely used it as an insult. And Matt Bellamy is 100% fucking guilty of it on this album.
Oh, yes.
But
yeah,
I believe it is completely made up for by this album has my favorite fucking term to use in an album, contrast. which at least means that the fucking moments in which he's over singing, you can actually remember it because they stand out in a good way instead of just being fucking annoying.
Oh, absolutely.
Indeed.
And I think some where Showbiz falters is because some of that wasn't as clear cut. And this is much more refined of like, this is where it makes the most sense. Let's put it here. Let's dial it down a little bit here. And let's also have some fucking rock and fucking rips happening too.
Newborn, the opener, fucking perfects its contrast in it.
Newborn's pretty good, yes.
It knows when it has to when he has to be over-singing and when it can just start doing a bit. There's a lot of build-up in that song to a lot of payoffs, and then it does it again. It is a bit repetitive on that, but it's well structured enough. I do think it's not like the peak performance of Muse or anything like that. I don't think it's a perfect song. It does drag on a little bit, but other than that, it's still a pretty song.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's like a lot of strength or courage in just having the first half of your album just be alternating long cuts and shorter cuts. Like, there's definitely a confidence to that I really appreciated. Just like, here's a 6-minute song, here's a 4-minute song, here's a 6-minute song, here's like a 3-minute song, another 3-minute song, and then there's a 7-minute song.
Well, Citizen Erased is one of their longest studio tracks.
Yes.
I think there might be some stuff on their later albums that beat it, but there's definitely nothing before Black Holes and Revelations that's as long as that. You might think, oh, isn't Nights of Sidonia pretty long? It just passes 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Citizen Erased is one of the longest songs to be on a studio album.
And it was released as a single only for the 20th anniversary version.
Yes, that is correct. Which
But
is
apparently,
yeah, it's a bit weird to release a single 20 years later. Not going to lie, but I mean, I guess it is an anniversary edition, so you got to release something. I mean, when Radiohead did their 20th anniversary ones, they released some B-sides and singles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I guess Citizen Erase is like a fan favorite, so it never got a single. So hey, why not just do it now?
The song that I always got a bit shocked that was one of the more popular songs of here was "Feeling Good." I feel like that's one of the ones where, like, I was just saying, I'm a fan of the contrast. I do like when they can go slower than go fast, but "Feeling Good," I don't think they quite implement it so well.
Well, Feeling Good is like one of those like covers, right, where everyone's gaga over it because it was a song made famous by Nina Simone. And the contrast to something like that, which is more of a smoother, jazzier experience, is like night and day. Like, oh, look at the modern rock band like turning into a full rock song, where originally it was also a Broadway song. So it also has that in its origins.
Yeah, but it's not done that fucking well.
People consider it one of the best covers ever made.
They're gonna listen to more covers then.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a cover we can compare it to quite well in this episode later on.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I like the Feeling Good cover. I think it's fun. Am I gonna call it like the best song on the album? Even no, but
it's probably my least favorite on the album, to be honest.
But there's a sassiness and there's like a vibe that I do appreciate. Just like having the swagger and like the fucking. If it had a big band section, it would be so good. It'd be so much even better. But I've always liked it. I mean, but I'm gay though, right? So that accounts for a lot.
Yeah, that is fair. Off topic, but still kind of about the podcast. My new tattoo itches very much right now.
That's fair. Fair enough.
Did you go for that second coat?
I have not yet. It needs it though. Like the fucking Nant on Dissonant is just fucking like non-existent pretty much, and the smile needs more definition.
Can't wait to show off a picture of that when it is good enough to show eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys can infer from what I'm saying with that, but yeah,
it's gonna be great.
It is. I now have a similar tattoo to one that Ozzy Osbourne has.
Origin of Symmetry. I think Plug-in Baby is a fucking banger.
Oh no, it absolutely fucking is.
It's
good
I just sincerely wish that Muse did more of this weird experimentation and trying different things, right? But now they're in the dad rock era.
To be fair, they have been experimenting with things in the dad rock era. It's just with stuff that's already been experimented with.
I mean, yeah, simulation theory does have a lot of experiments. I will give it that. Some of them are interesting, but I feel like there's
I'll put in though that the only time that they did an interesting experiment, and even then, I still think the album wasn't that good. I think it is saved only by that they actually tried something when no one else had tried it yet, and that was Second Law when they were basically introducing EDM and mostly a lot of dubstep influence into their album, and a lot of it was to try and stay modern.
yeah.
You could definitely argue that it worked because they weren't called a bunch of old farts trying it, and
That,
I even think Second Law unsustainable. Whilst it doesn't hold up anymore as a track, there's a lot of courage in putting that out as one of your fucking singles.
Yeah.
I will.
But
I
it was
will.
basically not a Muse track at all. It was just a dubstep track.
I will defend Second Law.
That's
I-
fine.
I'm just saying. I
I'm
think
not-
that is the last good one.
But if you wanted just the good old rock Muse again, we got that on the album afterwards, and that was shit.
I mean, the comparison I make too, right, is Muse did that just like Radiohead did the King of Limbs.
Man, if we're doing a drone / King of Limbs episode, I might just opt out.
I can manipulate things a bit. We have plenty of time before we have to get to that point.
I don't know if I want to be the person who takes a side in that one. I think that's a both sides argument.
I mean, it's like, what are we going to do Hail to the Thief compared to? Either a live album or The Resistance, probably. It's like, that's also a tough one.
Yeah, that is fair.
So, like I said, plenty of ideas. And, you know, I want to do some live stuff. I want to do some of the B-side stuff. Whatever makes the most sense at the time. This is a thing I'm developing as I'm doing it. Because we love improv here.
Yes.
Yeah, we've never made up takes on the spot.
I'm probably going to be improvising on my choice for the next episode.
Dear God, are you?
Anyway, Ode to the Symmetry, a pretty good sophomore record. I personally can't really tell you after listening to both of these. My revised Muse ranking. I might have Origin of Symmetry over Showbiz. To be honest, I think after listening to these again properly, I think Origin of Symmetry might be the better album.
Mhm.
I can't remember what my old ones fully were. So I give this album a bit more praise than I did previously. I don't think it is a bit better than I remember. I don't think it challenges the top of Muse's discography, but it is a good third placer if it has to be one.
I think that's pretty much what you said last time.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe a fourth placer. I don't know. I still got to compare it to Resistance.
I think Origin of Symmetry is better, but then again, the Benz is better than Pablo Honey, and the Origin of Symmetry is better than Showbiz for me. But Origin of Symmetry is the best.
I think I'm going to do an agreement with the Benz and the Showbiz comparison on that one. I think they're favorites of this. Newborn is kind of a favorite, but I'm more going to put it towards Bliss and Plug-in Baby. Space Dementias and Citizen Erased, though, I reckon, are also some pretty good tracks off this. Least favorite, yeah, Feeling Good. So isn't that last song Megalomania? Isn't that the Undertale song?
Yeah, that is a funny comparison. I want to get Trix's take in full after me, so I'm gonna do my least favorites and least favorites first because I want to hear your comparisons so far.
Okay.
But I like Plug-in Baby a lot. I really love Microcuts. I think that song just fucking goes hard, and I like the Feeling Good cover. Fuck y'all. I do think my least favorite is Bliss, but also Futurism, the bonus track, I don't think was super amazing either. But if you stream it,
tracks can stay bonus tracks.
If you stream it though, it is part of the album, so whatever.
Yeah. No real least favorites, and I guess my favorites were Microcuts and Feeling Good. I quite enjoyed those two tunes.
So what do you think in comparison to Showbiz?
I liked this more than Showbiz.
And the Ben's better than Pablo Honey. So what is the best of the four overall so far?
I'll say Origin of Symmetry.
All right. Awesome. I think we're in full agreement this time, which is nice.
Indeed.
I cannot wait for the big divide that's going to come eventually. What do you
Until then,
mean
we
King
have
of
some
Limbs
20
is better than Muse's discography?
we have a 2023 section to start off with, and since we've done your 2 albums, let's do a middle ground and do my album, then finish off with Trix's 2 albums.
Good function.
Yeah,
So,
fair.
Private Function's Hello Arsehole. I've been indoctrinated into listening to Private Function after someone on the Oz Music Discord won't shut up about him. So I finally gave the new album a listen when it came out. They've had a lot of antics actually about their vinyl as well, including getting it banned in South Australia for being an actual scratchy. The gold-plated vinyl variant that they put out for this for $200 was revealed to be liquid-filled, with the liquid being the band members' piss. There's
Classic.
been a lot of just known antics of Private Function. Unfortunately, I think one of the former members as well was put up for some of those not so ethical antics as well, which probably got them kicked out of the band. So
Yes.
they've actually
Mhm.
actually had a new lineup since their last album as well, which is kind of interesting on this. I was actually invited when I went up to Brisbane for the Violent Soho gig to come to a Private Function gig. I didn't have the time because I didn't arrive into Brisbane quick enough to do it. But I heard at the gig, apparently they bought multiple copies of, those one chip challenges?
Yes.
They bought a multitude to the show and they passed them out to the crowd without telling them what it was.
Oh,
And
that's
apparently
awesome.
someone had a couple of them
Oh God.
and they had also been drinking, so they had to leave the show.
Oh God.
Oh
They-
man.
For those who don't quite understand how bad it is, so the reason why the spiciness fucks you up is the high acid content, and that's why you're supposed to have milk, because milk is quite basic and helps you neutralize that. Alcohol is more acidic.
The fat also helps kind of dull the capsaicin.
Yeah, alcohol has none of that. It's just acidic. It would just fuck you up.
Yes.
So
That being said, I still need to do the one chip challenge as a spice fan.
I kind of want to as
I-
well, but I'll probably die from it. Not literally, but
I got such a low tolerance that I just can't do it.
I have a
Anyway.
high spice tolerance.
Private Functions, Hello Arsehole. It's 30 minutes of what I call pub rock revival because it's very much the sound of the classic pub rock, even though it never died.
it's more punky too, which I really like.
Yeah, I was gonna call this Australian against me, and I wasn't sure if that was an insult or a compliment.
It depends. Did you like the album?
I did.
And it's a compliment.
Fair enough.
I was gonna compare it more to the Chats and Dune Rats, but
Yeah, this is a lot more pubby than Dune Rats, and that's, I would say, more than the Chats, to be honest. I think Chats do have a bit more of a play it on vibe to them, which, that's to their appeal.
I will say, like, kind of like we talked about with Origin of Symmetry, the pacing of this album is also very interesting. And again, half of the album is like 1 minute, 2 minute songs, and there's a section that's like 3 minute songs, and then it goes back to being like 1 or 2 minutes. Except for the album cover.
Yeah,
ends
then
with a 37-second song, right?
Yes.
I just met the biggest cunt in the world, and it is you.
Yep.
Yep.
But there's a lot of just really fun songs.
Yeah.
I honestly think this album though is better when it's shorter. Like I don't mind the longer songs in here. In fact, I'll give my take on what my favorite song off here is later. But the kind of faster tunes on here are just really fucking catchy. I mean, I think I'm this far away from being the worst person you ever met would basically be a really good song to do a Tony Hawk's run to.
I was going to say
absolutely.
about just having a gaze, too.
Seize and Destroy.
I mean, Season
And
Destroy is followed to Search and Destroy, absolutely.
Yeah.
This honestly feels like a really good Tony Hawk soundtrack.
Yes.
It does.
Oh, General Misdemeanor? Oh, God, that'd be great.
A general misdemeanor.
See, that is fun wordplay I really like.
Yeah.
Like this whole album just has surprises. Like One Headed Dog, like another dog song this year that's really good.
And then Passion Pop, which is just a song about passion. The thing about this album, and I just kind of think about it, it is pretty literal.
Yeah,
There's not really much. They're not trying to bullshit you with any like, what's the word, allergy or what's the fucking word, metaphors.
except for Yellow.
Yeah, but Yellow is the cover on here. It is a pub rock cover of Coldplay's Yellow, and here's the spoiler: it's my favorite off this album.
It's great.
They're fucking. The one thing that they could have done was absolutely just shit take it, but I think they realized that doing a pub rock cover of Yellow was already a shit take. So the only thing they could do is just take it full on fucking seriously, and it has no right to fuck that hard.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be a great cover in like the 2000s, and it's a great cover now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it. I'll rip on Coldplay a lot, but I do think, whilst I don't know what the fuck they mean by it was all yellow, I don't think Yellow is a genuinely actually good written song.
No, but sometimes emotion just wins.
Yellow is about piss.
No, that's true. That's what the vinyl was. And I think this just goes to show that it is a pretty. It's kind of like Wonderwall. It's a song that it can quite easily just be covered by anybody trying to cover it.
Yeah.
And I don't think a well-written song has to be a song that can only be performed a single way. Sometimes I don't think Yellow is the greatest fucking song of all time, despite my memes about it, or it being the only song to ever exist. But it is definitely a song that is written in a way that it can be performed in so many different other ways, which is really good for commercialism.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I don't mean that as a criticism. I mean that helps it become. That's why it was such a fucking big hit. It's a song that practically anyone can cover. It's the same with Wonderwall. That's why Wonderwall was covered so fucking much. It's simple enough, but different enough that people go back to the original, but yet people want to do their own fucking takes on it.
Granted, I didn't really hear about Yellow that much until this podcast, honestly.
Yeah, you kind of turned us on to Yellow. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't know how the fuck you two didn't manage to hear Yellow, but that's just on you two.
I didn't really listen to the radio.
I mean, the songs I knew from Coldplay were Clocks and Viva La Vida.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
and that's because our baseball team had Clocks, as it's like, it's game theme. You'd hear it a bunch of fucking times.
Like I can going back game right now.
Going back into the cover though, it's a faster paced version of Yellow. There is definitely, you can still hear the riff in it as well. So they're basically, they haven't done this kind of like, oh, we're putting in our own riffs or anything and completely changing the song, and we're just keeping the words in the cover. Which I've heard versions of it. I reckon that are fine. I mean, King Stingray did a cover of Yellow as well. That was pretty good, and they definitely changed a lot of the sounds that were happening in it. They've basically just sped it up and played it on their own instruments, and that's probably the most natural way you can do a cover. But it just works so fucking well.
That it does.
I mean, that's kind of this whole album in a sense. It just works really fucking well. It has some fat somewhere, but the way it's structured makes it flow really nicely.
It's too fast of an album to really be holding on to much fat anyway.
Yeah.
When it's basically just, it's not the fastest album you've ever heard. I mean, realistically, the only joke song on here as well, surprisingly, is I Just Met the Biggest Cunt in the World. You'd think there's a lot more joke songs on here, but a lot of them are just quick pub rock songs.
Yeah.
I mean, Just Having a Geese, you might be able to say, is a bit of a joke song, the intro song, which is, I think that's just literally about window shopping.
One Had a Dog's kind of a joke song, and just that it's so straight on that it's kind of funny that they would even construct a song like that.
The topics in it are a bit more comical, but it doesn't really mean they're joke songs. I would only say the only one is I Just Met the Biggest Cunt in the World. But the whole thing is just calling the listener a cunt.
Yeah, that's fair.
But a lot of these are just very simple. There's no real meaning to a lot of this. Well, it doesn't mean that the songs aren't about anything. But they're not trying to be anything else other than what they are, which is just a fun pub rock band. And I think it's come across really well in here to what is a surprisingly really enjoyable short album.
Ritz, I need to ask you a question. You know
Yeah.
best. Can you have the winning album that gives you the prize and have it be one of the piss albums?
Potentially. I don't know if anyone's won it yet. Let me check.
I'd honestly kind of love it if the winning album is just slabbed up in some collection.
Yeah, that'd be very funny. If someone doesn't even scratch it because it's so...
Well, no, you can't scratch it. It's worth more money that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I've seen enough people who don't want to scratch it. It's like... I kind of want to get the album, but I don't want to be tempted to scratch it either, so I'm probably just going to wait for the re-release.
I want to scratch it.
I want to scratch it.
Then go buy the fucking vinyl. It's still available in their store.
In Australia.
Yeah, well, that's how much you're gonna have to spend on the fucking scratching, huh?
If I was gonna spend that much money on a vinyl, I'd buy the fucking Dope Smoker 420 repress that had actual pot leaves in the vinyl.
It is on low stock, but tricks to make it even better, and to enter Dominic here, their debut album, it's their actual album, is called Scent Anger, and it is just a cover of Scent Anger. The album's not a cover of Scent Anger, but they've just stolen Metallica's Scent Anger.
That is phenomenal.
I did see that. I'm very curious about it.
I'm also a fan of the Cigarette album.
So I just want to fucking tell you as well what the variant names are for this vinyl. So the green variant is called All In, the red variant is called Let It Ride, and the black variant is called Put It On Black.
Lovely.
Yeah, all roulette terms.
The gold vinyl did cost $200 when it was sold. It did come with a limited edition T-shirt. I don't even know exactly what that T-shirt looked like. I don't really have much private function merch, and by that I mean I only bought this album digitally, but you can buy it on Bandcamp for pretty cheap. How much was it? Was it fucking $420 or something? I saw.
It's $420 AUD on Bandcamp.
Yeah, there you go.
Incredible.
First album in 3 years. It's
For the record, that is $281 in US dollars. For a full album.
Yeah.
If you like bands like the Chats, you will like this more.
Ooh, them's fighting words. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know either. I recommend my mom The Price of Smokes.
Yeah, the Chats.
I think the Chats' last album was better than this. Don't get me wrong about that.
Yes.
But I think there are a lot of people who are looking for pub rock in America who haven't quite heard the more underbelly of the Australian pub rock sound.
Yeah, listen to an album by this band called the Cockroaches.
That is true. And I think the Chats are better, but I think this is more pub rock than the Chats.
The Chats was a top 10 album for me last year. This probably is not going to be a top 10 album for me, but I do think it's really good.
Yeah, that's just a really fun album, and I'm almost disgusted that my favorite of it is the fucking cover that they do, but I think disgusted is the vibe that they want people to go for. So,
speaking of disgusting, I just ripped ass and watched the light on Discord light up, and I'm wondering if you guys heard that.
I did not hear it. No.
Okay, no. Thank God.
But anyway, you never know what you never know what's gonna pick up on the recording afterward.
Yeah.
Favorites and least favorites?
Yeah.
I'll start. Favorites, just having a geese. Just having a geese. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm this far away from being the worst person you ever met. I reckon I'm this far away from being the worst person you ever met, and Yellow are going to be the two fucking songs that are on my rotation the most out of this album. Least favorite? Probably Don't Want to Go Out on a Weekend.
Tricks?
No least favorites. This album's a banger.
I really like the yellow cover is really fun. I like Season Destroy. One-Headed Dog's really cool. But I'm this far away from being the worst person you ever met. It's probably the top, along with General Misdemeanor. And my least favorite is either going to be Good Fight, Good Night or Don't Want to Go Out on the Weekend.
All right, Tricks, it's your albums next. Which one?
Well,
Let's
when I
talk
picked
about the
these out,
single. Let's talk about the
yeah, I was gonna
single.
say that's what I was gonna do because when I picked these out, I had a definitive 3-2-1 that each one was kind of gunning for a different 3-2-1 spot, if that makes any sense. And we'll start with the number
Yeah.
3, which is Crusades of the Elden Stav by Netherwalker.
Yes, this is just a death dungeon core metal song.
Yeah, it just so happens to have the singer from Chowder on it. Like, there's nothing really special about it.
Like these are
Yeah,
college kids having a good time.
Yeah.
that's basically my opinion on this song. It's like, it's alright. I don't really have any care to listen to it again, but it's alright.
Yeah,
How do they?
I basically just wanted to cover it because it's like, oh hey, the voice actor for Chowder.
How did they get Chowder Guy? Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, if it's college kids making it out, could have been in the same fucking college, because wasn't the voice of Chowder a kid when they were voicing Chowder?
yeah. I want to say he's like, I'm gonna bet he's like Dominic's age right now.
Like 28. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's quite
Google.
possible that they're in college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's actually really interesting. I've never seen Chowder.
26.
I just know about the voice.
Born in '96, so he is 26, almost 27.
Ooh. So this still
There
could
you
be
go.
college. Yeah.
Yes.
You have a chance with the guy who voiced Chowder.
Do I though?
Well, not with that attitude.
Yes, but only in the bedroom can they do the Chowder voice.
I had the
Or
wildest
would you
fetish.
prefer the Bambi 2 Flower voice?
The what?
He voiced Flower in Bambi 2.
I had to watch Bambi 2 to know what you're talking about.
Fair.
I'm not just thinking of fucking Dominic just going through multiple partners and just constantly asking, "Can you do the Chowder voice?"
I just don't think I'm good enough to actually get the real thing, so I just keep trying to find imitators. And then one
Just thinking,
day,
like, you're the 10th person on Grinder who's moved out because fucking hell, you couldn't stop going, "Do the Chowder voice, do the Chowder voice," in bed, and you gotta stop this, Dominic.
and then one day I just bring home this guy named Nick, and then it's like, oh, Nicky, oh, okay. Oh, do it.
That's how you get blocked on Twitter.
Again, still have never seen Chowder, so.
He's a purple bear that has boobs, according to my father. My father hated Chowder.
Chowder was surprisingly good for what was an era of Cartoon Network that was pretty shit.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was a pretty decent era. You had the Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack.
Yeah, Flapjack and Chowder were the highlights in that era, but you also had fucking Johnny Test in that era.
Yeah, fair enough. Which I found it funny that that is just the creator of Flapjack is also the voice actor, and he barely does anything to his voice.
Oh,
And he's like, just this buff blonde dude with sailor tattoos.
I'll admit to watching Johnny Test when I was a kid, because it's around that era when I was just at the end of watching Cartoon Network. But because people around the age that I was, you'll watch fucking anything. But then going like years after having not watched Cartoon Network or anything, you realize there were certain shows that you can just remember so many fucking quotes from.
Yeah.
And I could remember fucking one random moment in Johnny Test because it wasn't any of those fucking meme ones or anything like that, because I wasn't thinking of the fucking memes or anything. The only fucking moment I can ever fucking remember of Johnny Test was when they go into this fucking micro world and the like alternative Johnny Test goes, "Nothing bad's ever happened here," and then fucking thunderstorms fucking start happening. It's like, oh, that's the first thing bad that's ever happened here. And it's not even funny, it's just the only fucking thing that stays in my head. It's just like, alright, is there actually a funny moment from the show that I can remember? The answer was no.
That's very fair.
That was I know a lot of people like will also say, "Oh yeah, Johnny Test, one of the worst shows," but it was a good example as well of just like how annoying a lot of the fucking Cartoon Network shows were at that time. And
Good crap. I can't even say it right. It's a tongue twister right now because I'm pretty heavily into the box wine right now.
What are you even
Yeah,
trying to
that's-
say?
A whip crack.
Whip crack.
Yeah.
Johnny Test was known for its whip crack sound effects.
Oh, yes. Watch.
But yeah, I would agree. Chowder was one of the only highlights of that era, and Flapjack was alright. I never
Mhm.
watched too much Flapjack to really put on.
Flapjack is phenomenal.
Yeah, but like, there was a lot of shows that had ended around there. I mean, Camp Laszlo had ended. That was a pretty good one. Billy and Mandy, I think, it ended as well.
My gym partner's a monkey.
Yeah, that one was actually pretty alright.
Do you think racists got disappointed in the title out of that show?
I think so, yes. But I remember, like, a lot of people didn't like original Ben 10. I think original Ben 10 was the only good one out of all the fucking Ben 10 series.
Dude, people love original Ben 10.
Yes, people go crazy for Ben 10 original.
I don't know what it was like in yours. I heard a lot of people when I was growing up just didn't like Ben 10. I guess it was around the era when they were growing out of Cartoon Network as well. But I thought the original Ben 10 was pretty good. But we had a lot in that era was the newer versions of Ben 10, which sucked ass.
Yeah, I tapped
Forest and whatever the fuck.
I tapped out of original Ben 10. Like I was like, it's fine, but it's not doing anything for me.
I would just like watch it when it was on.
But to hear how many people I know now that have gone like gaga over it, it's like I guess I missed something.
I think the concept was probably still better than the execution, but I don't think the execution was bad. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like a 10-year-old gets an access to a watch that turns into a specific alien in order to stop crimes. Yeah, that's fun enough.
But only for 10 minutes or something like that.
10 minutes.
It was like an arbitrary time length.
Yes, to make it show that they would fit into a cartoon story.
Yeah. And like a big plot point was always the watch failing right at the peak moment.
Yes.
I mean, you gotta have to have a plot point. I mean, you had to build the plot somehow, though.
Oh yeah.
Out of paper.
You had to do some restriction, or else you just had fucking. What, there was one episode of Ben 10 where he didn't have the restriction, and that one was basically just him versing the two biggest aliens in some fucking subspace or whatever it was, and then at the end of the episode.
Future Ben 10 or like Ben 10,000, whatever the fuck they went with. He didn't have that restriction, and he could also like shift between forms.
And he had 10,000 aliens.
And all of them fucked.
Yeah. I mean, there was some pretty good designs in that show.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Ghost Freak was pretty fucked.
So anyway, should we talk about Phoneboy since we've obviously kind of stopped talking about who's the Elden Stav?
Yeah, sure.
That's. I really like this album.
It's cute. I like it.
This is better than their first one.
A bit. I don't know if it's better, but it's not like an amazing evolution to me.
It's not. It's more Phoneboy.
Yes.
And that's always welcome.
Ferrari's great. Runaway's great. Like just like
everybody smokes and steals from Target.
That's a great line.
Moving Out. I like the title track Moving Out.
Yeah, Moving Out's great.
Your Apartment I like quite a bit.
You compared Moving Out to San Francisco's Awkward, and I kind of see it, but I kind of see it, but I disagree.
Just the vocal melody. Just pay attention to like the vocal melody.
I saw it, Trix. This isn't a case of I didn't see it at all, and now pop. I saw it. I somewhat disagree though.
Fair enough.
But I really like Moving Out.
This is really fun.
They have 4 songs in this album that are the same length.
I didn't notice that.
No, they had a lot that was very similar.
Runaway,
the one downfall.
Wasting Time, Open Up, and Need a Friend are all 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
Oh, Runaway is 3 minutes and 18 seconds on YouTube Music. Wasting Time is 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Open Up is 3:18, and Need a Friend is 3:18.
I'm looking at Bandcamp.
Fair. That's probably more accurate.
The only fucking downside I had with this album, and it's still a pretty big downside, but it's a downside nonetheless, is that it doesn't do too much with its sound. It does sound very similar a lot, which makes it consistent.
Yes.
But it also means that you've kind of already listened to it after you're done halfway through. I still like this album. I like it a lot. I think the songs are well written and catchy and they're earwormy even when they are sounding the same. But it's still a detriment to the album that has to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff like that they do lyric wise, and they have the good lines that you can kind of remember. I think the end of the album opens up a little bit and does change the sound a little bit. Like Acoustic Song and Gone 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 do a little bit. Like Gone 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 has that string opening that's at least ear catching after a whole album of indie guitar. But yeah, the downfall to this is that it's more Phoneboy for good or for bad, and the bad part is just that it sounds the same sometimes.
But I enjoyed the record. I think this is a nice little fun pop rock album.
Yeah.
I think when we compare it to the surprise pop rock artists that we've had mentioned on here, obviously this doesn't fucking hold a candle to Zoo.
No.
Oh, We Can Run Club? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It does not.
But it's a type of album where you put it on, and if I listen to this enough times or anything like that, or if I think this was the only sound that I wanted to hear, this would be a no-skip album. I think this is either I just listen to the album or I listen to singles. I don't think there's really a skip on it, because I either want to listen to just that type of song for 10 minutes, for 30 minutes, sorry, or I just want to listen to the highlights. And I reckon I'm probably not going to go back to the album in full too much. I think it's a good album. I like it, but I'm also got other shit that I like a lot more, and this can easily be condensed into its highlights. So I'm probably just going to listen to the highlights. But the opening half to this is still quite fucking peak pop rock.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I like. Oh, they're basically the singles, but I like songs like Ferrari, Runaway, Moving Out. They have these just really catchy hooks to them that aren't like, oh, I'm tapping my feet as it's playing. They get stuck in your head for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, this is a good example of car music that I would play not to scare my friends with my actual music taste.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta have those.
And it's like, not that I don't like this, not that this isn't my taste. Like, I think Nevermind off the first album was a fucking banger, and I have that shit on my playlist, right? But that playlist is for me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's way too varied and weird at this point to really throw at other people unless they're willing to be weird. This is just what I'm going to put on to, like, have nice car conversation, I guess.
There's an old Owl Turd comics that I gotta find now.
Well, I'll compare your picks this way, Trix. One of the albums is scaring the hose, and the other album is trying to retract the hose.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. Pretty sure my roommates judge me now because they think my baseline with them is listening to 10,000 gecs.
Yeah. Oh, to be fair, 10,000 gecs will attract the hose, just a different type of hose.
The proper hose.
The hose you want.
Yes.
Trix, what was the test again?
It was a blurry photo of 1,000 gecs, and it was a caffeine addicted transgender test.
Speaking of that, should we finish? Should we finish this and move on to 10,000 gecs?
Yeah,
I think so. There's not really much else we can talk about. Then this is a really catchy pop rock album.
Yeah, I like Ferrari.
It's a good 6.
Yeah, 6-7. I like Ferrari. I like Your Apartment. Moving Out and Runaway are fun. Acoustic Song Gone Gone Gone's really fun. My least favorite is probably something like Wasting Time or Open Up, just because I remember them the least.
I agree.
I have no real least favorites, and the first half of this album is just a fucking banger.
Anyway, 10,000 gecs.
This entire album is a fucking banger.
You can't keep saying that. You got to be more specific.
Okay, well,
you don't understand. I've listened to this album like once, like 2 weeks ago, and I also listened to it 5 times the same day. Like this entire album got stuck in my head once.
I think this is one of the few times in which Trix is saying it's a banger and really means it, not
That's-
just a simple
yeah.
I like the album. I think from what I'm hearing on this, Trix, what are you going to give the rating of this album?
This is probably a 10 for me.
Yeah, I thought so.
10,000 out of 10,000.
Okay. I think it's
So
like an
for
8 or
those who
9 for
haven't-
me. But
For those who haven't heard this album, it starts off with the THX sound clip,
yes.
and that's about all you need to know.
Into Dumbest Girl Alive, which is a fucking mood.
Which uses the fucking sicko mode bass.
Yeah, and just the line. I took 10 Advil today. Yes, I have taken 10 Advil today. How did you know?
If you think I'm stupid now, you should see me when I'm high.
I'm high and I'm smarter than I look. I'm the dumbest girl alive.
I mean, I think comparing the THX logo startup to Soul Glow doing the Fox, 20th Century Fox off a bong rip is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably preferred Soul Glow's album, not going to lie.
Ooh, that's hard for me. I don't want to think about that right now.
Yes.
I mean, I think this is an 8 or 9 for me because I do think there are low points on this album, but there are.
I gotta think it's because maybe I will hold on now because I wasn't a big fan of Triponomics.
Yeah.
757 just bounced around my head like a fucking pinball. Like, just my skull was empty and all that was going on was 757. Yeah, I'll never go to heaven. I've been smoking since 11. Told the devil he's a lemon. Yeah.
On the side for me, I reckon Hollywood Baby is going to be one of my favorite songs of the year by the end of the year.
Hollywood Baby is fucking just.
I'm going crazy inside a little Hollywood baby.
See, it's one of the ones I don't like as much. I'm not into Hollywood Baby as much as a lot of the other tracks.
Oh man, them are fighting words.
See,
Hollywood Baby is probably actually the most accessible song on here. So if you want the full experimental gecs, it's not going to be. But I think it works well because gecs definitely get a lot of like. For people who aren't really into the theory behind all the songs or really paying too much attention, they think it's just a bunch of random noise or something like that. And not everyone thinks, but I think it's just like, oh, this is avant-garde experimental. But no, it is still actually really well-written pop songs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The lyrics are sometimes really stupid, but...
Hollywood Baby is an
absolutely... my mom the first time I listened to it.
It's an absolutely beautifully written pop song. I think a lot of people don't quite realize that until they actually start to enjoy 100 gecs, but they're really good at being a pop band.
Yeah. I'm more interested, I guess, in the more experimental side where they're recreating like new metal and ska and things like that.
I got my toe from mode.
I got my two through. Well, they flirted with ska on 1,000 gecs.
Yes.
Stupid horse.
Yes, and that was one of my favorites on there.
Yes, and then you got Frog on the Floor, and I got my tooth removed, which are just straight up fucking ska songs.
And then you got like something like Doritos and Fritos, which is kind of a noise rock, and fucking Billy Knows Jamie, which is that fucking new metal shit, bro, that I really fucking dig with.
Yeah, and like there's a fucking Primus bass riff in it, like just fucking whoa.
The fucking breakdown for Billy Knows Jamie goes so fucking hard.
Oh god.
See, I've seen people who haven't been a fan of that.
I think
that's one of the more controversial moments on this album. Is that Billy Knows Jamie?
It's so good. Like I sent it to a friend of mine that loves new metal, and he was into it.
Doritos and Fritos is a banger.
Yes, see, that's my favorite part of the album. Frog on the Floor through Billy Knows Jamie, peak album for me.
Yeah.
Doritos and Fritos. Dude.
Well, then give me all those fucking Doritos and Fritos. Okay, I saw a bee into a screen. I need some sleep, so turn on the TV.
Have you seen the single art for Doritos and Fritos?
I have not.
They put a fork in front of their face to make it look like they're MF Doom.
Wow, fantastic.
That is fantastic.
I mean, remember for as well, Me came out in 2021. Doritos and Fritos came out in 2022. 10,000 gecs was supposed to come out last year. It has been brewing for a while, this album. So there's definitely been quite a bit of hype for it. And 100 gecs have actually gotten quite a bit of popularity over the past couple years as well. since putting out their debut. I think helping Dylan Brady working with Charlie XCX has probably helped with that a lot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I really got to give it to them for not sticking to what made them famous, like the whole hyperpop thing. Like that was more of a marketing term than anything, I feel like, at a point, because they were never trying to do that. That was more of a Spotify thing. And I really appreciate that they went way farther.
Indeed. I think the next time I come to Chicago, we have to make a pilgrimage out to the tree.
Okay, we can do that.
I will say that I got my tooth removed. Absolutely fucking fucked live.
Oh my god! Just even the studio version fucks. That song fucks.
It's
I got my tooth removed.
Just the full horns. It's just a ska song. It's just a ska song.
And
it's just a ska song. You don't need to go too hard. Piano on fire.
Yeah, I when I was talking to my father about this album, I'm like, you'll hate it. It's like they threw a ska album through a wood chipper. And I feel like that's just the most accurate description I can come up with for it.
I think I'm happy they didn't put the fucking ska song to just like they randomly have a ska song in their discography. Between this, Sympathy for the Grinch and Stupid Horse, they're definitely starting a little bit of a ska revival in the pop scene, which I like.
I would still argue also, just as a separate note, that Hey Big Man would fit on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they wanted to open it like they did, and Hey Big Man's an opener.
Yeah, I think they could have reshuffled Devil's Girl Alive in there. I think they could have done it. Maybe not have the THX opening, which would definitely degrade it, but
yeah.
This being a really fun fucking album, and out of the past couple of albums, it's like, okay, well, I'm probably just gonna go back to the highlights throughout the year, maybe listen to the album more. This is an album I would 100% be coming back to. This is my favorite of the 2023 albums.
Me too.
My favorite of the week. To be
vinyl.
I'm not as big of a fan of the $1 million and Most Wanted Person in the United States section. Like those are fun, but they're kind of more repetitive. But I will still listen to them if they're on.
That is where the heat is. Got Anthony Kiedis sucking on my penis.
Least vulgar 100 gecs line.
Sorry, I am draining this bag of wine.
We smoke trace size dicks is pretty good.
It fucking is. That I hate that line is just stuck in my head at work all the time.
It's I just need to mention too the fact that I went to college with Laura West and did not know until this album research, and that we're literally a day apart fucking blows my mind.
Yeah, it's like me being 10 days apart from Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. 3 days ago, Lil Nas X.
Happy birthday. But I guess, Laura technically fits in that Chicago scene in a sense that I would have grown up with had I known about her at the time.
Yeah.
What a weird fucking thing.
Indeed.
Now, I'm just going to interrupt the subject to just note that it seems... Okay, so it's an actual artist from Sydney has gone record shopping with the Prime Minister for Record Store Day.
Oh, wow. Favorites for me, Doritos and Fritos and Billy Knows Jamie. What a great 1-2 punch. And of course, the ska stuff is great too, and I like Me quite a bit. My least favorite's probably Hollywood Baby.
Favorites, Hollywood Baby. Got my tooth removed. Least favorite? Probably $1 million.
Favorites for me: Dumbest Girl Alive, 757, Hollywood Baby, Frog on the Floor, Doritos and Fritos. I can only make this joke like twice, talking about 1,000 gags. You get the idea.
Yeah, all of the tracks.
It's a fucking banger. Yeah. This is my number one for the week.
Ready to do the ranking to affirm that for everybody?
Yeah.
Yep. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
All right, go. You start.
Mine might be a little controversial, but I'm going to start and put Radiohead, The Bends at the bottom. Then I'm going to put Muse, Origin of Symmetry. Then it is Phoneboy Moving Out. Hello Asshole by I almost said Injury Reserve. You get the idea.
A little different. Private Function.
Little different. Private Function. Both just words. And then number one is, of course, 10,000 Gags.
My least favorite's gonna have to be Phoneboy, but I still like the album. So it's kind of just there. Next has got to be Radiohead's The Bends. Then I had to be a bit more realistic and put Private Function just above the Bends. It's a lot higher than the Bends, to be honest, but I'm just trying to be realistic here. Then I'm going to put Origin of Symmetry, so that's 4, I believe. And then, 10,000 gecs is probably actually my favorite out of all this, so I think I enjoy 10,000 gecs more than Origin of Symmetry.
My rankings are very similar to Ritz. I just don't know if I'm putting 10,000 gecs or Origin of Symmetry first. It's literally going to be a coin flip. I'm going to put
your heart.
Origin of Symmetry is on top.
Sorry, Trix. I was hoping I would get you to win.
That's fine. I'm expecting. I was kind of expecting to be robbed of it. Not gonna lie.
I like Origin of Symmetry quite a bit, but also 10,000 gecs is my favorite of 2023, which makes Origin of Symmetry my favorite album we listened to so far. So it's a very close race.
I get you.
That's fair.
At least as far as this year goes. The Origin of Symmetry is not my favorite album we've ever listened to. God, no. But, you know.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But what albums could beat that? What are you picking for next week, Dominic?
Let's hear what Trix has to pick first.
Okay, so
if you fucking pick it, I'm gonna fucking. I
said I would leave this up to a coin flip. I said I would leave this up to a coin flip.
This influences whatever else we pick, so we got to hear this first.
In either way, this is going to be blamed entirely on Dominic because I did not expect him to pick longest when I put longer, and as a joke, longest, implying that it was Mac DeMarco's One Wayne G. The other pick was the new Bellwitch album, which I forget exactly what it's called off the top of my head right now. I have not
Something
listened
Part
to it
1.
yet. Something Part 1. And so I'm going to flip a coin, and Ritz, I want you to call it.
Don't you fucking put this on me.
No, okay.
No,
put it
okay.
on
Hold on. What are the stakes? What is head? What is tails?
That's. I think that's why I wanted Ritz to call it. Whatever he called, it would be Bellwitch.
All right, so let's put it as if it's heads, it's Bellwitch. If it's tails, it's Mac DeMarco's One Wayne G. But if you completely miss the coin and it falls off the table and onto the floor, then that's Paramore's new album.
I'm doing it on Google, so that's not possible.
Fuck. Could have gone with the shortest of the 2023 albums that I know of at the moment.
I couldn't. I was too lazy to dig up an actual coin off the floor because my cat bats them around the room.
All right, I'm gonna also flip a coin.
Okay, I have my eyes closed right now. I'd have no idea what the outcome is. So heads,
right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it 3, 2, 1.
And heads is Mac DeMarco.
Yes. 3,
okay.
2, 1.
1. Heads.
Mine is loading. It's tails.
Hold on. I've also flipped my coin to break this tiebreaker. Oh, thank fuck, it's heads.
We're listening to Mac DeMarco then.
I thought heads was fucking Bellwitch.
No, heads was Mac DeMarco. That's what we said.
Oh, fuck.
God damn it, Ritz.
Okay.
I thought heads was Bellwitch. Nah.
So we're doing.
This is a complete and total fucking joke.
Now.
We're doing Mac DeMarco's One Wayne G and
which means
5 Easy Hot Dogs.
Yes.
Because Dominic demanded it.
We're doing One Wayne G. We're also doing 5 Easy Hot Dogs because we might as well do both.
Yes. I might start lagging out here because I just ran out of data, so who knows.
Ritz, in this instance, Ritz has previously said he'll abstain. Will you stick to that abstention?
Oh no, I was saying abstain or go out from fucking I'm the king of limbs and drones. No, instead I think there's only one thing I can do when this is already a total fucking joke. Dominic, what do you think I'm about to pick?
The Caretaker again?
Nah, it's a total fucking joke, which means we're going back to Mortism.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And I'm going to choose for this one the last of the kind of more known albums that I have on my computer here. And if we're going to make this as fucking long as it is, why not go for the full fucking thing, huh? Let's see if we can make this longer than we actually have time to listen to. So we're going to do De Rigor Mortis plus the Two-Pot Screamer, the 40-minute rock opera. That's a CD only.
How do we get that, though?
You're going to put those in the in our fucking drive, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good.
Are we doing the re-release stuff or just De Rigor Mortis and Two-Pot Screamer?
Just
I'm going to
De
just say
Rigor Mortis and
whatever he puts in the drive.
Yeah, it's just going to be De Rigor Mortis and Two-Pot Screamer.
Okay. Well, because you decided to do a full pick, I'll do my full pick that I had ready anyway. We are first finishing up our 100 gecs saga. We're listening to 1,000 gecs in the Tree of Clues, the digital edition. So including the couple live tracks and things on the digital edition. Okay. Now, that being said, my other pick is going to be the new EP by Guitar Fight with from Fooly Cooly. Drought.
That's quick.
That's a 10-minute EP.
That's a quick one.
Yes. We're doing the Drought EP.
Okay.
I'm just writing fucking everything that we got here because this is a long fucking week.
And I think for extra credit, I'm gonna record myself eating 5 hot dogs while listening to 5 Easy Hot Dogs.
Oh god.
That's really not needed, but go ahead, I guess.
I could easily eat 5 hot dogs. My record is 7.
So this is where
I think you're just trying to do a fucking whitest bitch you know sketch about that.
That was fucking me in high school. Like, that's not even a joke. I sent that around being like, yeah, this is me, because there was a fucking joke when my buddy was playing The Sims where I would just constantly go outside and cook hot dogs at 3 a.m. on the grill.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And that is something I do now. But yes, I am Hot Dog Timmy. And that sketch is actually about smoking, believe it or not.
So, episode 130 of Dissonant Waves, our next episode, theoretically recording in a week. We are listening to about 12 hours of music. At least. No. About 13 or 14, because De Rigor Mortis and Two-Pot Screamer are like 2 or 3 hours on its own.
We're saying theoretically a week, but I might actually have some reasons to delay. So we might get an extra week for this.
I think we just go ahead and open this one to 2 weeks.
We could do it.
Be a lot more. I'm happy to take a week off.
Yeah, this is. We need a week break to just digest all of this, because this. I was just expecting to do the B-52s or Bell Witch. I wasn't expecting to do fucking 13 hours of Mac DeMarco. I don't know.
But we are doing 11 hours of 10 or 11 hours of Mac DeMarco, something like that.
10. It'd be 10.
Yes. We are doing Mac DeMarco's 1 Wayne G and 5 Easy Hot Dogs. Which is a lot on its own, which is more than The Caretaker by far.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did The Caretaker in a week I think. Maybe we had a week off in between. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But I remember sitting down I sat down for that shit. And I fucking did the notes. I cannot believe I did that. And I can't believe I'm going to do it for this. So we're doing...
I need to buy an ounce of weed, I think.
We're doing 1 Wayne G. We're doing 5 Easy Hot Dogs. Tism has done De Rigor Mortis, or Ritz has done De Rigor Mortis by Tism. And we're doing the rock opera Two-Pot Screamer. And I have chosen the finale of the 100 gecs coverage, 1,000 gecs in the Tree of Clues, digital edition, of course, and Guitar Fight from Fooly Cooly's Drought EP. Please do not forget the EP. It's 10 minutes. Easy to forget.
Will not forget. God, fuck, this is gonna be a lot of Mac DeMarco.
I just want to make everyone laugh as well, just by reminding people that De Rigor Mortis has a song on it called "Come Back DJ, Your Record Is Scratched," and a song called "Honk If You Love Fred Durst."
Honk, 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 honk.
Now, Trix, in that scenario where you have the lasagna,
Yes.
Can it instead be a video camera, please?
Okay.
What's the finding out for the camera? I've been villain. You can catch me on my website, villain for kids like I also have a YouTube channel that's in the description below.
I've been tricked. Catch me on Twitter if it's still alive. By the time this gets posted, Muskie's making some very beautiful decisions, and it's very, very glorious to watch. Buy our merch. We have a clock and all that.
Yeah, we still need to figure out where we're going to go if Twitter actually goes down at some point for our social media shit.
Yeah, because we really need to migrate all those followers, don't we?
I mean, I've been getting some attention on Instagram just posting on my own personal shit. We should probably do an Instagram at some point.
Yeah, I'll let you handle Instagram. Maybe I'll make a Tumblr.
Yeah, it's a Dissonant Waves Tumblr. Holy shit.
Dissonant Waves porn account.
And that's where the video camera comes in clutch.
We start posting the raw album or episode arts.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you just go into Pornhub in the trans category there, Tricks, just doing fucking dumb a dumb blonde gives you shit takes about music. ASMR.
Head.
Anyway, I've been Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I'm on YouTube, Dominic Jacoby, but it doesn't really matter if you go there. I don't really post videos. It's all just random stuff. I have a short film on there, I guess, if you want to watch that, whatever. I'm also on the Games from Mom podcast here and there. Yeah, we're doing an episode in Kingdom Hearts 2 soon. It might be recording by the time this gets out. Who knows?
And I'm going to get Dominic to give me a crash course on Tumblr later this week.
And again, we are listening to over a half a day's worth of music, and we're coming back in 2 weeks to do it, to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or theoretically, who knows? What the fuck are we doing?
This is your fault for even thinking I was serious about doing One Wayne G.
Granted, I will never forget when I had a list of things I wanted to choose from for episode 99.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Ritz did say do all of it.
We did do all of it.
That was a great episode.
That was a great episode.
Anyway,
let's hope this next one's even greater.
We'll catch you next time.
A few days, like breaking down Mac DeMarcus, so we can even just fucking talk about it.
That might be a 4-hour discussion on its own.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a good time, everybody. Hopefully you enjoy that next episode as much as we will or will not. It's hard to say right now. Bye.